You are now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. Have you always been a high achiever though? Because it does sound like you're the sort of person that gets an idea and you're like, I'm going to make this happen. Have you always been like that?
From what I'm told, yes. Yeah, I think I am, but I can see where it came from, as in I know, as in from a memory, I know what moment in my life I realized that I had to make something, or like, I don't know, achieve. I think that transition coming from Sicily to England at a young age really disturbed my confidence a little bit, because by the time I was 8, I was like this sassy Sicilian little madam. I mean, I was already designing mature women's clothing. I mean, you know where I was going, right? So I was already my own self. Like, I already had a personality. I already knew what I was doing. And then when I got to this country, I couldn't speak English and I didn't understand what was going on in the classroom. And that was when I had my first imposter moment. My imposter syndrome kicked in because the teacher sat me next to the smartest girl in the class. And I had to copy everything this girl did because I couldn't take cues or instructions. I had no idea what was going on. And I think that living in someone else's shadow, doing what she did, you know, if there was like an art project, I didn't know what the instructions were. So if she drew a monkey, I drew a monkey. If she drew like, you know, a tree, I'd draw a tree. So there was no self-expression. I'd lost all my self-expression for at least the first 6 to 12 months of being in this country because I had to learn English first. Then when I started to understand the cues and my own language and then actually speak 2 of them, then that's when I was like, actually, I have my own voice back again. I know who I am and I can now translate it into different languages. So I think that's where it came from, this like feeling of, because I remember distinctly feeling held back, really held back because I didn't understand. So I was like, I have to do everything she does. Yeah.
It's so interesting though, because so many people can probably relate to that from so many different angles, you know, when we're growing up, and so many experiences are so formative to us like that. Have you ever felt that again since then, you know, feeling like maybe coming into, for example, we're in the similar industry, which is, you know, building a personal brand, speaking, podcasting, there's a lot of noise, you know, how have you felt that show up again or in other ways?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's definitely come back again because we're in the media space. Like, we're always on social media. We've got our photos, our videos, we've got our own podcasts. And so it's really hard not to compare yourself. And I'm really grateful of that story of me and that girl from school, that I can relate today to that and say, be yourself. Like, I don't have to compare myself anymore, even though I might slip into that every now and again. I know how to catch myself because I've learned from a previous experience that everyone's got their own moment to shine. Everyone's got their own space in this world. Everyone's got their own voice. Hence, going back to the bees, at the end, the honey is made by lots of thousands of bees having been out there using their own energy in their own little bodies to bring back the pollen. That's the nectar, that sweet juice at the end comes from that. So I kind of see myself as, this is my lane, this is my space, I'm doing my bit, and I don't attach the success to, oh, well, how many followers do you have in comparison to me? How many downloads do you have on your podcast in comparison to me? Because, hey, I'm not trying to hold you back. I want you to thrive. I want you to win. And I'm doing my bit as well. And that's what I call at Manuka Media positive pollination. It's everyone positively doing their bit and impacting their community, their network, their connections. We're all doing our bit. And my highlight of the day is when I don't actually know how many followers I have on my podcast, right? But the highlight for me of the day is when I get a message saying, that podcast today really touched me. That's it. Just that one message from one person who I've reached. And if it wasn't for the podcast, I don't know how many of you are listening, but it could just reach this one person, and that ripple effect is done. Like that the universe will then take its course and it will do what it needs to do. But that first step was me just speaking.